Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from rSpace. Turns out that my girlfriend is a serial cheater, and the kid is not mine. It's been 4 years now since I've separated from my ex-fiancée. I was young, dumb, and hopelessly in love. She meant the world to me, and our daughter meant even more to me. You're probably thinking, 4 years? That's enough time to move on. I'm mostly over it, but I still get a little depressed around critical dates from that relationship, i.e. yesterday was the day we moved in together. Sorry for what's about to be a long post. I will try to keep it brief. I was in school when we met, en route to getting a doctorate degree when we discovered she was pregnant. Being the young man that was projected for greatness, I told her that I supported whatever decision she made. This was a lie. Yet I definitely believed termination would be best for us since she hadn't started her nursing program yet, and with us both being in demanding schools, there would be no way for us to finish school. I tried everything. Reason, empathy, and even had my big sister attempt to talk her out of the pregnancy. Hindsight, this was all not the best way to go about it. In the long moment of weakness, I decided to break up with her as a scare tactic originally. The reason all this unfolded was because my parents didn't even know I was dating, so as a young man who feared his mother's heartbreak and wrath, I was losing my mind. Fast forward 7 months along, my parents are informed of the news, and fast forward another 3 months, I move out of my parents' house and start living with my girlfriend. 2 months later, our daughter is born. Like I said before, living this life was destined for our failure. 2 years into this lifestyle of dad, boyfriend, and student, I failed out of my program. I convinced her that in order for our education success, she should move back home to get more support from her mother, who lived 2 hours away. Here is where I pick up a job to support them financially while I continue school to get a degree. I promised to see them at least once a month and every holiday while they were down there. While doing the long-distance relationship, things became weird. Rumors were being spread to me by my friends and family that she was having men in and out of the house. I questioned her, and she denied all allegations. I moved on. One day I caught her lying, and she said that she was at her best friend's house, but her brother told me she was going to hang out with a male classmate at a party. So having the day off, I drove down there and tried to wait for her at home. She caught wind that I was coming down and rushed home to shower before seeing me in. After a few more incidents like this one, the straw that broke the camel's back goes as follows. It's Christmas. Our daughter is now 3. I had proposed to her this past February, and we're due to get married in 3 months. I noticed she's been on her phone a lot, audibly giggling at texts she's receiving. My suspicion is moderate, but I attempt to get through the holiday and address it later. During our Christmas party, she gets blackout drunk and accuses me of not trusting her, which is out of nowhere as I hadn't said anything to her about this in more than 4 months. Immediately after she blacks out, I carry her to bed and notice that her phone is still blowing up. Given that she had her iPhone set to display messages while locked, I couldn't help but see that this message was from a male friend she talked of often. Him. Baby, I miss you so much. At this point, I'm livid, so I attempt to impersonate her and see what I can get out of him. Me, as her. I miss you too.
Is your man asleep yet? I want to come through.
He's about to go to bed. You can come through in about 40 minutes. To keep the story short, he never came. After some heated discussion with her brother that same night, I find out she was, at least, sexting a local police officer who thought I was her dead son. My name is tattooed on her, and that's the story she would tell. I didn't sleep that night, and when she came to, I interrogated her about last night's situation. She gets defensive about me going through her phone, but rebutted with, "It was all a trap to see if you would go through my phone." At first, I didn't take that as an answer, but eventually I did in a silly attempt of wanting all of it to be true. Fast forward a year. We're not married because of a gut feeling I got at the last minute. Another terrible feeling overcomes me one day when I ponder the past, and the feeling tells me that I should find out if my daughter is biologically mine. After coercing the girlfriend to agree to a test, she confesses that there is a chance I'm not the father. Fast forward 3 long weeks, and it turns out the child isn't mine. After a lot of thinking, I decide I can't do it anymore and tell her that I'll start the motions of removing myself from their lives entirely. After our split, she requested that I not see anyone for a while, and of course, I told her she has no right to request that, but that's my plan anyway. She confirms that she plans that to be the case as well. I found out from her family that 4 months later, she is pregnant with another baby, and she gets married to the father of that child 3 months later. This tickles me a ton, especially since after some snooping, I found out the guy and I share a resemblance. I'm now in a good relationship and have another degree under my belt, but I find myself letting the above story bring me down often, almost like it dictates my life sometimes. I have trust issues and I'm trying to let them die because my current girlfriend is not like my ex-fiancée. I'm hoping one day this will all be a figment of my past. Final words. I have a mild fear that one day my ex-not daughter will seek me out because to this day, she's being told that I'm her father and that I walked out on her. Or it's from her aunt that I'm close to. Time for some reactions. Scorpio BW 1980 says, I'm just 5 years out of a very rough separation divorce. Seeing a great guy, but I still struggle with the same issues as you. Some mornings I think to myself, will I ever just forget about it? I know I'm happy and in a much better place. I think the emotions come from a place of anger and just how could someone do such horrible things to another human who gave them their all? It's tough when you really love someone. I feel it most on our anniversary, and go figure, that was almost the same date we split up. We just have to keep moving forward. A divorce breakup is like death, and we have to grieve it. Grief never ends. It changes. I guess that's the price of love. I wish you the best. Next comment coming from Jojo Nuff said, this got me right in the feels. The strength you had to keep moving forward and see the truth amazes me. Good for you. As for the little girl, she will know the truth one day. The truth always comes out. Children get so torn in these nasty situations because they don't understand. They just want to be loved. Your ex is continuing on a path of self-destruction. Wish her well and live your happiness. You are worthy. Last comment before moving on, coming from Can't Live This Life. You did the right thing. You were completely gaslighted. I can't imagine the immense pain you must have gone through. I can only assume that it's like a trauma you go through and that the dates become weird and a reminder of your past. It gets easier. Have you removed yourself from your kid's birth certificate? Might be easier in terms of the future. I wish you nothing but great luck and love in your life. Moving on to the next story. I, 37 male, found out that my wife, 38 female, of 18 months, has had a physical affair with a colleague about a week ago. We've been together for 7 years. We don't have kids together, but each has 2 kids from previous relationships, who we co-parent between half and 5/7 of the week. My initial response, having been cheated on in a previous marriage, was to tell her we were done and nothing could change that. It was a firm rule I set out when we started our relationship. I know I struggle with trust and hoped that she'd have the respect to tell me if she wasn't happy. That would have made separation much easier, for me at least. I had suspicions that she'd been texting a guy from work too much and raised it a couple of months ago, but it was brushed off as nothing. He's her deputy manager. She needs to stay in touch, etc. I was suspicious, but didn't want to be paranoid. A few weeks ago, her behavior changed. She would never know where her phone was in the past. We'd have to call it to figure out which cushion it was behind, but suddenly, it never left her hand. It was under her pillow at night. I'm a heavy sleeper and snore. So for a few months, I've slept in another room so as not to keep her, a light sleeper, awake. I know, I'm a keeper. I was again suspicious, but tried to ignore it. Anyway, I got a chance to check her phone one day, which I would never typically do. I hated myself for doing it, but convinced myself there were enough signs to justify it. Turns out, she was sleeping with the deputy boss and had been for a couple of weeks. Clearly, this must have been an emotional affair for a period to lead to this. Now I feel like a fool and so weak. I'm struggling to accept that I'm the second best. In her own words, I couldn't be a better husband, but we clash over each other's kids. I've gone from wanting to kick her out to trying to apologize for my own shortcomings and asking what I can do to be better. I know I'm taking responsibility for her wrongdoing, but I'm finding it much easier to beat up on myself than her. I'm in the UK, and from what I know, the legal situation is different to the US, in that regardless of infidelity, she's entitled to half of everything. Unfortunately, despite me being on a pretty good salary, we're in about $50,000 of debt, which will take a couple of years to clear. The plan is to coexist in the house, which is in need of renovation. I'm doing the work. Until the debt is paid, the house is finished and sold, in the region of 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure my mental health can cope for that length of time. I don't have any family, so I feel like I've lost my only support. She's continuing her relationship with her colleague and is at his house overnight at least twice per week. I can't sleep when she's gone, so I'm resorting to sleeping pills. I realize I probably sound really weak and sorry for myself. I'm trying to gather myself and figure out my options to put some distance between us, but the finances mean that's challenging right now. If you've read this far, thank you. I think I wrote this mainly to process what's going on, but any comments are appreciated, even if they all just tell me to harden up. Edit. Thank you so much for everybody for your words of encouragement, advice, and motivation. I already feel a sense of hope that I didn't when initially writing this. I've made contact with my financial advisor and a local solicitor. My plan is to get this done ASAP. If it means she pays for half of the debt from equity in the home, then all the better. I can rebuild and bounce back emotionally and financially from this. Thanks again, everyone. This is a fantastic community. Let's check in with those heavy thoughts. First, Thrilla de Gorilla. Get the ball rolling on divorce as fast as possible. It's going to take some time to go through the legal process, so you've got time to work out the details. Separate your finances immediately. That includes phone plans and everything. Do not pay her a single dime of money, not a dime. In the interim, look up both the 180 and the Grey Rock treatments and act one of them. Don't half-ass it. Choose one and go all in. I don't know how infidelity works across the pond, but if evidence will help you in the divorce, get it, as much as possible. You can certainly separate in the same house, but it's going to take you finding your spine to make it go easy. The easy way? Don't be home. If you're home, don't be available. Like, at all. No conversation, no discussions. Your answers from here on out are yes, no, maybe. Nothing else. Don't be a babysitter while she heads out for overnight stays with her boss. When she walks in the door, walk the F out and go do whatever you want, for as long as you want. Do not tell her where you're going or when you'll be back. Tell her exactly nothing. Here's the important part. Do all of the above, without being a dick or a pouty wreck. Be extraordinarily stoic. You must act like everything is freaking fantastic in your world, and she doesn't really exist beyond being a strange woman you happen to share a house with. Do this crap immediately, bro, and keep reading and researching what to expect next, and how to handle your crap. You need to understand that your marriage is likely over and act accordingly and swiftly. Her still being in the affair can benefit you in the divorce. She is no longer an ally of yours. She's a combatant. Also, check up on her company policy if employees effing their bosses. If it is forbidden, hang on to that info for now. It'll come in handy in due course. Also, prepare to tell her family and friends. That will need to be done quickly before she makes you out to be the bad guy to them. Next, world of thought from Abbott Master Lives. My first thought for you was empathy. It seems decent people always get hurt first. Since you have already conceded the point about needing more backbone, I won't belabor that. What I will say is that you are doing your wife and yourself an injustice by taking any responsibility for her cheating. She made all the decisions to arrange and participate in her cheating and betrayal of your marriage and your family. That's right, she betrayed your children too, and placed their futures in jeopardy. I'd be damned before I let her run her affair out of my house. Jesus F. Christ. She needs to experience the consequences of her actions. Do not keep her cheating a secret from family, friends, and the children. Tell them in an age-appropriate manner. She has acted despicably and needs to face the repercussions. To the degree she is able to experience guilt and shame, it is all on her. This is not your fault in any way. This is her long-term interest as well as yours. The truth is a powerful tool. Use it well. One last comment from Gunner Gone, oh yeah. Not sure about the UK, but in the US, the longer you are married, the longer the alimony could be. So it could be in your best interest to start the divorce process as soon as possible, just because of that. Also, in your situation, there really was no reason for you to get married again, so going forward, you should seriously question the need to get married rather than just maintain a long-term girlfriend. That way, if things go south, it is a lot easier to step away. The OP has one closing response. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I questioned that decision, but felt like it would alleviate any jealousy. My current, albeit slightly jaded, view is that I need to wait until my kids are adults before I look to enter another relationship. They actually love my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I don't want to put them through the mill.